truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
It's been 6 weeks now since you've seen Lily and Jack. I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanting to know like what happened. It's been from sadness to anger at this point. And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together, and I'm grateful for that. But it always leaves the question, 6 weeks has gone by, and we know at this point they're not in the woods. And where are they?
Did you feel in the beginning that they suspected you?
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
You felt that from the beginning?
Yeah.
But you don't feel that now?
No, I don't feel that at all. I asked for the lie-detector exam, the polygraph exam. I gave them my phone. I told them I, do drug tests because there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party. Mm-hmm. I know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there any kind of party?
No.
Was there any kind of gathering that someone might have thought was a party?
No.
He claims he's not a suspect, but the search of missing kids tells a different story. It's been 6 weeks since 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan slipped out of their rural Nova Scotia home and vanished without a trace. Their stepfather, Daniel Martell, insists with unwavering certainty that he had nothing to do with their disappearance. He's handed over his phone and banking records, volunteered for a polygraph test, and agreed to drug screening. He's answered dozens of hours of detailed questioning, and even persuaded investigators to review video footage dating back days before the children went missing. And yet, despite his full cooperation, the RCMP's actions and the painstaking search effort suggest they're not entirely convinced by his claims of innocence. Here's what the search tells us, and why his protestations only deepen the mystery. From the moment the alarm was raised on May 2nd, 2025, law enforcement treated the disappearance of Lily and Jack as anything but routine. Major crimes detectives were on the case by day 2, an unusually swift escalation reserved for suspected homicides or abductions. Within 24 hours of the initial 911 call, Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon announced that homicide investigators had been engaged since day 2, signaling that the RCMP viewed this as more than a lost child scenario. If Lily and Jack had simply wandered into the woods, K9 teams and drones would have found some trace of them. Instead, search dogs discovered only 2 small boot prints 10 feet from the back door, and those prints led nowhere. No toy, no backpack, no torn fabric, no broken branch. Nothing suggests the children had taken a single step beyond their fence yard. That absence of physical evidence immediately cast suspicion on the last adults known to have seen the children. Daniel Martell was those children's stepfather, and his own timeline contained perplexing gaps. In interviews, he claimed to have heard Lily playing just moments before he discovered the sliding glass door, practically silent, standing ajar. Yet any parent who's ever lived in a small trailer knows that door screeches if you breathe on it. His partner, the children's mother Malia Brooks Murray, said she was dozing in and out of sleep and heard the children's laughter moments before noticing only silence. 2 versions of events, both hinging on a door that shouldn't have been silent, an inconsistency that raised immediate red flags. Martell faced public suspicion almost immediately. He reports feeling like a prime suspect right off the bat. A suspicion, he says, has only waned after passing a polygraph. Around 3 weeks into the search, Martell asked the RCMP, "Do you think you don't believe me?" and volunteered for a lie detector test. He described the experience in painstaking detail. Seated in a big comfy chair, hooked up to monitors under his forearms, buttocks, and feet, a cuff on his arm, a sweat gauge on a finger, blood flow sensors on his hand. The first question he was asked was, "Did you kill Lily and Jack?" That moment, he says, flooded his body with stress chemicals and propelled him to prove his innocence. He passed. Immediately after, investigators told him, "Yep, great, thank you." He interprets that as a turning point, the moment suspicion tapered off. Yet pass or fail, polygraphs are not foolproof, especially in investigations of child disappearance, where emotions run high and every question assumes the worst. Martell himself notes that every formal interview and polygraph question presumes the children are dead. No one asks whether he might have driven them somewhere or whether they might still be alive. Instead, the questions focus on murder an accessory to murder. That singular focus suggests investigators were operating under belief that Lily and Jack had suffered foul play from the start. Meanwhile, Martell's cooperation extended far beyond a single lie detector test. He handed over his phone for forensic analysis, including GPS data from Google Maps, and offered to submit to drug screening to quash rumors of a house party involving illicit substances. "I know the person who started those rumors," he told reporters. "They were just trying to take heat off themselves." He insists there was no party, no gathering, no one at the house, yet online speculation continued to swirl. On social media, armchair detectives debated everything from drug-fueled raves to cult abductions. Each rumor, Martell says, is nonsense, but they amplified public pressure on investigators, forcing to comb through every digital scrap for evidence. To that end, the RCMP requested private CCTV and door cam footage not just from May 2nd, but from 5 days prior, April 27th onward, covering an 8-kilometer radius around the Sullivan home. That scope is unprecedented in a missing persons case that lacked a clear abduction scenario. Reviewing hundreds of hours of video over such a vast area would take weeks, a fact Martell highlights when he notes that it took up to 2 weeks to process footage. Yet the continued mention of this review hints that investigators still hope to catch a glimpse of the children or a suspected vehicle on tape. The very act of seeking pre-disappearance footage underscores their uncertainty about the official timeline, and by extension, casts doubt on Martell's narrative that the children were last seen playing in the yard. As the weeks wore on, Martell says police contact shifted dramatically. Early on, he spoke with RCMP agents nearly every day, sharing any new detail, no matter how minor, that might point them toward a stepson and stepdaughter. By 6 weeks in, that daily rhythm had fallen to a check-in every 5 days, often at his initiative. He sees that tapering off is both good and bad. Good because it suggests he's no longer the focus of suspicion. Bad because it leaves him in the dark about the investigation's progress. He worried that without in-person meetings, it's hard to really convey what you want to say. Yet he still views every reduced contact as evidence that they don't see me as part of the disappearance. Meanwhile, search efforts continued in full force. Over 160 trained volunteers from multiple ground search and rescue units scoured 5.5 square kilometers of dense forest, marshy bogs, and hurricane-wrecked stands. K9 teams ran scent grids. Drones equipped with forward-looking infrared cameras flew at dawn and dusk. RCMP helicopters circled overhead. Underwater dive squads combed ponds and drainage ditches. They found only that single pair of boot prints and a handful of items in the woods that did not belong to the missing children. A pink blanket, a water bottle, children's shirts. Those discoveries raised more questions than answers, suggesting staging or misdirection. If those items weren't Lily's or Jack's, whose were they? And why were they planted in an area with no other families nearby? No Amber Alert was ever issued, a decision that sparked outcry from indigenous leaders and community advocates. The Sullivan children are members of the Sipekne'katik First Nation. Elder Marie Bernard demanded equal protection. If these were non-indigenous children, she said, there would have been an Amber Alert immediately. Over 20,000 people signed petitions calling for reform. The absence of wide area notification arguably hampered early public engagement, and in missing persons cases, every minute counts. Martell points to that omission as a further complicating factor. No one knows what happened, he said, because there was no alert to tell them to look. Public fascination with the case has never waned. Hashtag Find Lily and Jack trended briefly on X, while TikTok creators mashed up timelines and theories, sometimes garnering over 1 million views per clip. Legal experts warn against spreading unverified content under Nova Scotia's Cyber Protection Act, which allows defamation suits against online harassers. The RCMP emphasized the need for tips to come through official channels, cautioning that rumor-fueled leads waste crucial investigator time. Yet even as rumor mongers were rebuked, the very existence of those rumors hints at deep holes in the official story. Holes that social media sleuths are only too eager to fill with their own conjecture. Throughout it all, Martell's maintained the same refrain: I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. He cites the polygraph and his full cooperation as proof. But passing a lie detector test does not equate to exoneration. Polygraphs measure physiological responses to stress, not actual deception. A practiced liar can beat them, and an innocent person in a high-stakes interrogation can produce false positives. And handing over phones and bank records, while commendable, addresses only the surface of the mystery. It does not explain why two small children will be pulled from a fenced backyard in broad daylight without any witness. About the only undisputed fact is this: Lily and Jack are not in the woods. After weeks of official scouring every inch of forest and waterway, the consensus among search and rescue teams is that the children never left the yard on foot. That conclusion shifts suspicion onto humans, and nothing in Martell's recounting of events provides a clear alternative. If the children were carried away in a vehicle, why no surveillance record of that vehicle on private camera footage? If they were abducted by a stranger, why no speeding footprints, no drag marks, no DNA evidence? Each unanswered question deepens a void in which these children disappeared. As of mid-June 2025, the RCMP has scaled back ground searches, focusing instead on forensic leads and digital forensics. The Major Crimes Unit remains on the case, reviewing interview transcripts, tip line recordings, and latent evidence. They're examining cell tower pings, traffic camera loops, and vehicle license plate scans from highways and border crossings. They've interviewed over 50 people: family, neighbors, service station employees, passing travelers, and re-reviewed key domestic documents: leasing records, insurance claims, utility bills, and depositions from a local bus driver who saw the children on April 29th, days before the official disappearance date. That April 29th sighting, the last confirmed human encounter, introduces another layer of complexity. Martell has confirmed that Lily and Jack rode home with him, their mother, and their baby sister, Meadow, on that Friday afternoon. They were captured on camera near Highland Square Mall. The RCMP has that footage. Yet, public discourse has conflated that Friday afternoon sighting with the claim that the children have been missing for days, leading to speculative posts that the kids disappeared as early as April 30th. Martell insists those theories are false. They were seen on camera with me, with Malaya, with Meadow one day before, he says. The police have that video. That's fact. Still, investigators' requests for footage dating back 5 days before May 2nd suggest they are not convinced the disappearance occurred in those final 20 minutes alone. They want to rule out any earlier sequence of events, perhaps something that happened on April 30th or May 1st, when neither Martell nor his partner reported the children missing. Martell stresses he would have called 911 instantly if he suspected anything, but that 2-hour discrepancy between the door ajar timestamp in the dispatch logs and the actual 10:03 a.m. 911 call remains unexplained. Every missing minute breeds speculation. Given all this, why does Martell cling so fiercely to his not a suspect mantra? He points to the polygraph, the phone handover, and is stepping back from daily police contact as evidence that investigators no longer view him as a person of interest. He believes the RCMP's shift from daily interviews to every 5-day check-in signals they've cleared him. Yet every rational observer recognizes that reduced contact can also indicate a reallocation of resources to new leads, or an investigative stall until new forensic results arrive. Martell acknowledges that he may never know whether the tapering of police attention means he's truly cleared, or whether it reflects a shift in investigative focus to other suspects or to digital and physical evidence. Meanwhile, the emotional toll on Martell and his family is immense. Once a family of 7, he now feels ripped apart, cut off from Lily and Jack, from public sympathy, and from closure. He describes waking each day, reliving a nightmare, and enduring the pain of parental separation. He watches social media posts speculating about his guilt. A lot of drama, he calls them, and wishes those online pundits would stop for a second and consider the real suffering behind the story. 2 small children missing, a family torn in half, and an entire community suspended in uncertainty. So, he continues to hand over whatever he can, his phone, his banking data, his GPS location logs, while urging the public to share any tips that might help find Lily and Jack. He implores anyone with dash cam or door cameras around Gairloch Road to submit footage to the Picton County RCMP. He points out that the search radius has extended to 8 kilometers, a reminder that vehicles, not feet, may have carried the children away. If they're alive, they need help, he says. If they're not, we need to know what happened. Either way, it's been 6 weeks too long. He claims he's not a suspect. The title reads. And yet, the search for Lily and Jack tells a different story. It tells of a baffling absence of evidence in a thoroughly searched environment. It tells of contradictory statements and an unexplained 2-hour delay in calling for help. It tells of pre-disappearance surveillance requests hinting at earlier incidents. It tells of a community's heartbreak and a police force's dawning horror as they piece together fragments of a family's tragedy. And it tells us, above all, that when 2 small children vanish without a trace, no single claim, no matter how emphatic, can outrun the weight of unanswered questions. As the RCMP continues to sift through interviews, database logs, forensic reports, and tip line calls, every piece of evidence will be scrutinized anew. And if Daniel Martell truly has nothing to hide, he will remain the case's most determined advocate for truth, pressing investigators for answers, urging the public to come forward, and refusing to rest until the mystery of Lily and Jack's disappearance is resolved. Because in the end, the search doesn't lie, and the search is still on.